I haven't been this disturbed in a while. This poor girl was essayed by her father for 12 years, had 3 children with him, all while her grandparents knew. This all happened in West Virginia. Alexandra Thomas was only 9 years old when her father, Kenneth Cook, began essaying her. She gave birth to her first child at 16, her second child at 18, and her third child at 20 years old.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry. I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man. It's coming back to the channel, watching the videos entirely, man. Commenting down below. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, seekers. Let's do what we do best, man. Say it with me, y'all. Yeah, I know what we do. Seek the truth.
I haven't been this disturbed in a while. This poor girl was essayed by her father for 12 years, had 3 children with him, all while her grandparents knew. This all happened in West Virginia. Alexandra Thomas was only 9 years old when her father, Kenneth Cook, began essaying her. She gave birth to her first child at 16, her second child at 18, and her third child at 20 years old. This is her dad's Facebook account. It says Daddy's Baby Girls. Disgusting. Alexandra said that at the age of 9, she tried to tell CPS, but her grandmother worked very closely with them and told them that she was lying. She said that her grandfather also knew what was going on, but he wasn't surprised and just didn't care. She said that her father threatened her multiple times that if she said anything again, he could make her disappear. She wasn't allowed to have a phone, friends, and he kept her away from her mother's family so that this secret wouldn't get out. Alexandra posted this on Facebook, and basically she said that her youngest was born with severe health issues and stayed in the hospital for the first week, but since her father was scared that the truth would be exposed, he forced her to keep the baby at home, all while he needed medical attention. This disgusting family secret was finally revealed one day when the youngest child was found malnourished. He was only weighing 6 pounds at the age of 1. That's when they did a genetic testing and found out that Kenneth and Alexandra were related. This monster faces more than 150 charges, and his parents can also be charged because they knew this entire time and they never reported it.
This is trypophobia.
The world is going to a freaking dark place, dark hole, man. The grandparents knew and they did nothing to try to stop it. They just ignored us. Hey, ain't my problem. Come on, man. People need to be better, plain and simple.
Phobia test, extreme edition. Can you make it through all 5? Let's find out. Start the test. Number 1. How about this?
I'm cool.
Halfway through. Feeling uncomfortable yet? Last one. If you couldn't make it to the end, then you could have trypophobia, which is the fear of clusters of small holes or patterns. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next extreme phobia test.
I made it. Where was she at?
If you're scared of snakes, this video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called the Titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the Titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video. They recorded it. Then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, they got me really interested because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam. Right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5,000 in like 4 days. Not bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Make sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
He's actually asking important questions, man. They sent $1,300 there. What were they watching, bro? They must have been watching something they wasn't supposed to, man. They were that scared. Because obviously you can tell that was a fake email, but it scared him to the core. He was doing something they weren't supposed to be doing.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger, but she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they are opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pyle, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired, bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
Just wait for the video at the end where you see this giant thing submerged. It's beautiful. It's not. This is the gigantic crocodile animatronic used for the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Look at the animatronics mechanics that are going to be completely submerged, including most of it. And this is how absolutely massive it is. It was made by Stan Winston and his crew, and they're geniuses. It's great, but this horrifies me. I'm suing. Like, here's it in the water, mostly submerged, with bro up there. I could never, you could not pay me to be a guy in the freaking water like this. No. Like, could you ever get in the water with this thing? With this gigantic crocodile animatronic? No. Nah. This is the gigantic rig that is actually the, like, skeleton of the crocodile that's completely submerged. Like, look at this. Look at this. Knowing it's completely submerged in the water, I hate it. Look at this one. What's that underneath him? That's a person that's, like, fixing things underneath it. Let's look at it again. Could you ever do that? They use a giant winch to put it in the water. Like, why? They could have completely used CGI. They should have. I'm scared. This is one of the worst ones for me. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And could you ever be in the water with that?
Imagine seeing that, man. You don't even think that's an animatronic. You would think that was real. You really can't tell the difference.
Here are some signs that you won't believe actually exist. Alright, here's the first one. Please do not stand, sit, climb, or lean on zoo fences. If you fall, animals scare you, and that might make them sick. Thank you. This container transports a disease which has no cure. Why? Danger, if you fall in the pond, you will be boiled. Attention, make sure the door is closed tightly so bears can't get in, thank you. Wild bears be getting in, what the really hoping the same sign is on the entrance of the slide. Oh, surely it isn't. Do not grab Hamish by the horns. I will not grab Hamish by the horns. If elevator does not move, do a small jump, it should move after. Nah, why would it move? What? Danger, do not get on elevator with one of these. If it leaks, you'll die. Why would someone get an elevator with one of these? What the?
Behind me is 14-year-old George Stinney Jr., and at the age of 14, he was falsely accused of killing 2 girls. This happened 80 years ago, and this little kid was sentenced to death by the electric chair. They found the bodies of 2 young girls by George's house, so they automatically blamed him, even though they had no evidence whatsoever. On top of the false accusations, he spent 81 days in jail without even seeing his parents, and he was 80 miles away from his hometown. And he also did not get treated well. He didn't even have a lawyer in his presence during the time of questioning, and he was a kid, so he doesn't know better. He also did not receive a fair trial. The trial lasted 2 hours, and then it was handed down in 10 minutes. His parents weren't even allowed in the courtroom, and then they were banned from the city. On the day of his execution, he was carrying a Bible with him, and then they had to prop him up on that same Bible because he was too short for the electric chair. 70 years later, they overturned this conviction, saying that this case didn't make any sense. Apparently, the girls died because blunt force trauma by a beam. George is way too small to lift that beam up, so they were like, there's no possible way. But the damage was done. This was 70 years, way too late. The Green Mile by Stephen King was inspired by this story. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
But I wouldn't go that deep in water, so I think the last one got me, man. I'll never go that deep. That ain't for me. Somebody in there with him? Yep.
This film director was found stabbed to death inside of her London home. One thing was missing, it was her diamond-encrusted Rolex, and they think that is the motive for the murder right now. Her name is Jennifer Abbott, but she was known professionally as Sarah Steinberg. Now here's the crazy part, she was found by her niece and neighbors, and when they found her, she had tape over her mouth. Somebody stabbed her, maybe taped her mouth before they stabbed her, and then took her stuff and headed out. On top of this, she was found wrapped in a blanket on her bed. She was last seen walking her corgi on June 10th. Now that same very corgi was found alive. However, it was locked in the bathroom for 3 days, so it's a miracle that thing even survived. The niece was panicking that something was wrong with her aunt when she showed up initially. She got the neighbors, and the neighbor's son ended up breaking the door down. People are saying she also had stomach cancer and recently underwent surgery right before her death, which makes me think personally, somebody must have heard something, maybe she went through surgery and was recovering, and then that made her the perfect victim for their attack. Of course, she's a very successful director. She's going to have expensive things probably laying around her home. Do you guys think there's something fishy behind the scenes? Let me know.
Was this woman saved by her guardian angel? Joan wrote on Catholic.org that when she was 21, she was heading to a club with 2 friends. She said that as she got ready, she started feeling really odd. Then she said that it became clear to her that her and her friend were going to get into a car accident and she would not walk away from it. This was before cell phones, so she had to wait for her friend to tell her that she could not go with her since she had already left her house when Joan had this revelation. When Joan opened the door to tell her friend that she would not be going, she said that she felt a strong hand on each of her shoulders holding her back, even though she was completely alone in the room. When she told her friend that she could not go with her, she said that the hands and the odd feeling went away. On the way home from the club, her friend got into a car accident and totaled the passenger side of the car where Joan would have been sitting. She was fine, but the passenger side of the car was completely destroyed.
I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck, and there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not... Please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom.
It really is.
Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb yet again?
Maybe. Maybe I go exploring. Abandoned water park during the day, but not during the night. I don't know what creepy crawler's gonna try to come out. So yeah.
World's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I want to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking, no way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one 2-patient patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the absolute worst shark animatronics, most of them underwater. Let's go. This image, I hate it. This guy that's on a dark ride, I don't like this one at all. Here's another version of it when it pops out of the water more. Who did this? Here's another image of the same shark with the track right by it. That is sickening, completely submerged like that. This image completely plagues my nightmares of the Jaws animatronic for the movie. This one's actually super interesting. Her name is Daisy, and she is a shark animatronic that looks super, super realistic. And she is rented out for people to like make movies and stuff of her. But here's an image of her being transported in the water, and she looks kind of goofy. This isn't an animatronic, but this image freaks me out every single time I see it. I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and it is from Deep Blue Sea, the best shark movie ever made. Another Jaws animatronic picture. I hate this one. All the tracks and all the animatronics, some mechanophobia coded. Hate it. This one has braces, and that red eye is freaking me out. Here's one of the Jaws animatronics without face skin if you needed to have nightmares tonight. There you go. These animatronics, oh my god, the fact that they're in the water is so sickening like that. Like, why? Sharks the scariest because of their completely black eyeballs. Like, they have no, like, whites of their eyes. They're just, like, these black, just creepy, creepy eyes. I don't like them. You would have to pay me at least $500 to get on this ride, this Finding Nemo ride. The fact that Bruce sticks his head out like that. Like, look at him side-eyeing, dude. I don't like looking at this picture at all. And, of course, the Jaws animatronic at the Japanese Universal Studios. The worst. The fact that it is huge and it is in that water like that. Hate it. Which one was the worst for you?
This is what would happen if you stopped sleeping. After the first 24 hours, you would feel great, which is because early on, sleeplessness stimulates a part of your brain that causes you to feel happy and energetic. But not long after this 24-hour mark, you'll start to feel sluggish, be forgetful, and appear drunk to other people. After 2 full days of not sleeping, your body would appear to lose all its energy and feel like it's shutting down. Just because your body can't properly metabolize glucose without sleep. After 3 days, your skin would become pale, your eyes would become red, and you'll start to hallucinate. Which means that your worst nightmares are going to appear real right in front of your eyes, kind of like sleep paralysis, but you're awake. And after 2 full weeks, your immune system would be so weak that the common cold would be enough to unalive you. And after 3 full weeks, there's a super high chance that you'll have a heart attack. But let me know, what was the longest you ever went without sleeping?
This married teacher cried as cops arrested her after they found out she had sexually abused a student 45 times. And apparently she had groomed that student since he was 14 all the way up to about age 16. She'll face nearly 60 years in prison if she's convicted and found guilty. Apparently, the teenage student's mother was going through his phone and found disturbing texts between the teacher and her son. She decided to contact the school board and the police to get to the bottom of what's going on. As of today, she has resigned from her teaching job. And then, like I said, there was 45 counts of her and the student engaging in sex and stuff like that. Whether that was in school, before school, at her own home, everything. They found thousands of texts confirming what the boy's mother was saying too. When police confronted her, she claimed that the student was just some sort of stalker that was obsessed with her. And also, the husband had no idea what was going on. He just knew the student as some soccer player at the school. And that's when the text messages got pulled up. As of right now, she's denying any sexual relations with that student. And then they pulled from her notes app and found a memoir of things she was mad about. Apparently, she was mad that the teenage boy was not picking her as the first choice or something like that. She was literally just venting in her notes app about this kid. A 30-year-old grown teacher. Let me know your thoughts.
She was sacrificed by 3 teen boys so that their band could make it big and even inspired the movie Jennifer's Body. Elise Pollard was born on April 26 of 1980 in Arroyo Grande, California. Her parents raised her as a Christian and had a strong connection with their beliefs. On July 22nd of 1995, 15-year-old Elise was reported missing. For about 8 months, no one could find a trace of Elise, and her case went cold. The case opened up when 17-year-old Royce Casey admitted to taking the life of Elise with 2 other teenagers. He led police to mummified remains of Elise at a grave that was only a quarter-mile away from her home. The 2 other teens involved were 16-year-old Jacob and 15-year-old Joseph, and the 3 were all arrested and charged. According to Royce, they picked Elise because she was a blonde, blue-eyed virgin, and they were going to sacrifice her so that their metal band would make it big. Once the boys picked Elise as their victim, they stalked her for weeks and to find the best way they could get her away from school and to hang out with them alone. When they successfully lured Elise away from the school, they took her to a grove with the promise of substances. They attacked her from behind, put a belt around her neck, and strangled her. They all took turns stabbing her when she was left with 12 stab wounds. As these boys were attacking and kicking her body, Elise was praying to God for help and calling out for her mom. Elise eventually bled to death with her 12 stab wounds. But the torture didn't stop there. Once she had passed away, the boys essayed her body. Royce was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years, and it's probably because he confessed to the police. Jacob and Joseph were both sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years. In 2021, Royce was up for parole, and he stated that he was a changed person. He felt remorse. He even got an education while he was in prison, but he was denied. Many think that the movie Jennifer's Body is based on this case. In the movie, Jennifer is taken to the woods by these band members. They end up sacrificing her so that their band can make it big. But in the movie, she becomes a vampire and takes the life of guys.
And we know, man, how these movies and shows will be based off of real, true stories, so that's not that far of a leap. It's a chilling case.
Would you ever visit this abandoned park that has a bunch of massive busts of old presidents? You know, I don't think I would. It used to be a lively place, but it closed in 2010, and some guy bought all of the busts and put it on some abandoned land. And it looks like this now. This is horrifying. I don't like this. This is how big a human is in comparison to all of these. That's just sickening. Can you imagine going there after dark in this abandoned area with all these massive... I couldn't do it. Also, this is Abraham Lincoln. If you know, you know. Like jail. Did someone do this on purpose, or was it a weird coincidence? This is kind of cool with all the plants on it. Still terrifying though. I have megalophobia, which is fear of huge things, and then abandoned places mixed together. No, thank you.
Ain't good.
I think George Washington's about to square up. Does anyone know which president this is that's missing the jaw though? This is horrific. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Would you go here? Some of them are missing the top of their heads. They had their wigs snatched. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go, but also I would be terrified I'd poop.
She found out that her husband was cheating on her, so she cut his private part off. In 2015, Feng Lung from China had found out that her husband was sending emails to another woman. Her husband Fan had used her phone to send these emails, but he forgot to log out of his account. Fan was asleep in their bed when this happened, and without thinking twice, Feng grabbed a pair of scissors, walked over to him, and cut his private part off, and it was completely detached from his body. Fan was rushed to the hospital, and doctors were successfully able to reattach it and treat his injuries. Feng was unhappy that the doctors were able to do this, so she snuck into the surgery center and attacked her husband again. She did the same exact thing to Fan, but this time she threw it out the window. There was blood pouring from Fan's groin area, but he still went outside to go look for it. As he was running outside, Feng ran after him to try and attack him again, but that's when he punched her in the face. Hospital staff were able to separate the two, and Fan was treated for his new injuries. Unfortunately for Fan, doctors nor police were able to locate his private part. Feng ended up being arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm.
AI can now officially read your dreams. When you look at anything like this grass field, your brain's neural pathways form a specific pattern, sort of like a heat map. And every possible thing you look at or can even imagine has its own unique pattern. When you dream, your brain behaves much the same way, forming brain frequency patterns based on what you're dreaming about. Well, Asa Raskin from the Center for Humane Technology announced that they've done some tests, and what they discovered is impressive but incredibly alarming. They put a test subject inside an fMRI machine, which can read read brain activity and had them look at an image, in this case an image of a giraffe, and the machine mapped out their brainwave pattern. They then hid the image and fed only the brain map data to an AI image generator, probably a little more advanced than Midjourney. An AI that has never seen the original image of the giraffe, nor had access to an internet database that stored the original image either. It then generated, strictly based on the fMRI brain map data, what it determined that the person was looking at, and this is what it produced. Not exactly the same image, but I don't think you understand what it means that AI can now turn this into that with this level of accuracy. And we're still quite early in this technology, so it's only getting better from here. Then they took it a step further. They showed the test subject in the fMRI machine a video, and on top of generating what the subject is seeing, they also wanted to find out if the AI can read your inner monologue, the words you think to yourself in your own mind that no one else knows about. The test subject watched this video and was told to narrate what was going on in the video inside their own head. Here, let's do it together. You ready? Did you get all that? Now again, given only the subject's brain activity heat map, this is what the AI determined the person was thinking. I see a girl that looks just like me get hit on the back, and then she is knocked off. Probably a bit different than what you thought, but this is literally AI reading our minds, and all it takes is someone's fMRI brain scan data. Our thoughts and dreams can now be leaked to the world. Give it a few more years and this technology will get near perfect. And sure, fMRI machines may look like this today, big, clunky, and all around you, but that technology is also going to improve. What if we have fMRI Apple Vision Pro goggles 10, 20 years from now? You'd be able to see and read what someone is thinking or even dreaming by just looking at them.
That's crazy, man. AI, seek the truth.
Women in Japan are actually paying to stay in prison. See, Japan's elderly population is skyrocketing, and with it, a shocking trend. There has been a surge in elderly women committing crimes like shoplifting deliberately to get sent to prison because the loneliness on the outside is so severe. In fact, in the last 20 years, the number of elderly inmates has risen by almost 300%. See, because on the outside, these women often live alone with no family to visit them or financial support to rely on. One inmate interviewed said her 43-year-old son, who she was living with, once said to her, "I don't care when you die, I wish you'd just go away." But now she's behind bars, she has routine, people to speak with, meals, and even medical care. Rather than shouting at them, the guards go as far as changing their diapers, helping them bathe, eat, and even take their medication. One said it now feels more like an elderly home rather than a prison full of convicted criminals. There's some that even say they will pay 20 to 30,000 yen a month just to live there forever. And even though they eat their meals in a cell alone in silence, just knowing that others are around is enough.
I was just about to say that. That doesn't sound like a prison. That sounds like an elderly home. But the fact that they have to go to that extreme just to get there, just so they won't feel alone anymore when their families left them, that's sad, truly.
Here are some of the dumbest crimes committed by children, except each time it gets dumber. A 12-year-old kid in Rockville, Maryland has admitted to police that he sent in at least 7 bomb threats to various schools in his area. And he said that he did it because he knew that he couldn't be charged for it. Which is true, because in Maryland, children under the age of 13 can only be charged for something that falls under a crime of violence. The kid was smart enough to know the law, but dumb enough to call in a bunch of bomb threats for some reason. The kid might actually have a bright future ahead of him. At a theme park in North Carolina, a 13-year-old boy climbed inside of a claw machine to steal one of the toys and got stuck. According to reports, he spent 17 minutes inside of it until someone was able to come pull him out, after which he was banned from the park for a year for attempted theft and being a dumbass. In North Carolina, a 6-year-old boy was arrested for picking flowers from a yard while waiting at a bus stop. The crazy part is he actually had to go to court for destruction of property. The kid's attorney was quoted saying the boy's attention span was so short she had to give him a picture to color during the trial. Thankfully, the case was dismissed, but this happened because North Carolina has one of the lowest minimum ages for criminal charges, and most recently it was just raised to 8 years old. My question is, who the hell is calling the cops on a 6-year-old?
Yeah, who? And the fact that he had to go to court for picking flowers? What's wrong with people, man? This is a kid. You can't let that slide. It's not like you're doing anything destructive.
In the world right now.
If the Chiefs defeat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles' all-time record will be 666 wins and 666 losses. A judge annulled the marriage of a couple after the bride came to the court and said that she only participated in the wedding because she thought it was a social media prank. Another judge sentenced a woman for setting a home on fire with 3 other people in it using Takis tortilla chips. A bank robber was dazed and confused when his getaway bike was stolen. A Texas teenager was accused of using poison to end the life of a rival's competition show goat. A man in Cleveland was quoted saying he's tired of cars running into his house all the time after 3 have crashed in the last 10 years. A man in California was arrested after he told the officer he was the DUI instead of the DD. A woman was rescued after getting caught in an Italian cave for the 2nd time in 2 years. The EU fined the EU for breaking EU data protection law.
Fun facts you wouldn't believe are true. Godzilla is an actual citizen of Japan. Some species of jellyfish are actually immortal. The patent for a fire hydrant was destroyed in a fire. Outer space is only 62 miles away. You could drive there in an hour. If you flattened your lungs out, they would have about the same surface area as a tennis court. Saturn is the lightest planet. If there was a big enough body of water, it would float. An astronaut spacesuit runs about $12 million. The moon looks close, but you can actually fit every planet in the solar system between the Earth and the moon. In a lab here on Earth, scientists created a plasma that reached a temperature of 9.9 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Over 50,000 people on Earth have alien abduction insurance policies.
Here are 3
I need to
ways
get
to
on
hack
that.
your body. Number 1, if your arms ever fall asleep, just shake your head like this and it will go away instantly. Number 2, if you ever have a stuffy nose, just hold your breath until you have to breathe again, and this will give you adrenaline, which will clear your sinuses. And number 3, if you ever have to really go to the bathroom but there's no place to go, just scratch the back of your calf as hard as you can. This will actually stall your brain, making it that you forgot you ever had to go.
I need to try that to see if that's actually true.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back.
What? I heard that about pigs, but I assumed it was cat.
Human
How
body
does
parts
that
that are
happen?
completely useless now. Number 1 is your external ear. Auricular muscles control the visible part of the ear, but humans have lost the ability to control this muscle, and other mammals can move their ears with these muscles in order to detect prey and localize sound. Next is wisdom teeth. About 85% of adults nowadays will have at least 1 wisdom tooth. Our ancestors used to have larger jaws, so wisdom teeth fit better, which is why we get ours removed now, and it was the answer for the need for chewing power that they needed. Next is body hair. Body hair was once required for warmth, and you can see we've lost a lot of it over time. We now have it in a reduced form. Next is your appendix. In plant-eating mammals, the appendix helps digest cellulose, and the appendix might not be completely useless. A recent study found that it helps aid in good gut bacteria. So let's say you have diarrhea and your intestines are flushed out, it provides good bacteria back to your gut after that.
This is the 5th
More you
scariest
know.
movie according to science. Paranormal Activity, released December 3rd, 2008. Before watching this movie, your beats per minute is around 62. While watching the movie though, it's bumped up to 85, making it a 15% difference in your beats per minute. A woman and a husband move into their dream home in San Diego. Unfortunately, since the woman could remember, she had felt like she had a weird paranormal presence around her that wasn't good. After the first couple nights of living in the new house and they can't sleep, the husband then sets up a camera in the bedroom, and the things they see, well, I guess you're just gonna have to watch the movie. The movie, as I said, is called Paranormal Activity, and it is supposedly the 5th scariest movie, according to science.
Not for me. I know I don't do scary movies.
If you're celebrating Halloween, you need to know about this movie. This movie was so popular when I was a kid, but I realized a lot of people actually don't know about it. Trick or Treat is a 2007 horror movie that includes 5 different Halloween-themed horror stories. So I'm gonna explain all 5 of them. The first story, called Opening, is about Emma and her boyfriend Henry who go home on Halloween night. Emma blows out a jack-o'-lantern and starts tearing down all their Halloween decorations, not knowing that someone is watching her, and she's just made a terrible mistake. The second story principal begins with Charlie stealing candy from his high school principal's house when trick-or-treating, but then he gets caught by the principal, who seems to be hiding a secret double life. The third story is probably the most well-known, called Halloween School Bus. A group of teens go to a flooded quarry, where one of them tells the group about the urban legend of the Halloween school bus. And in this urban legend, 8 disabled students were unalived by a school bus driver, because their parents all asked the school bus driver to get rid of them, as the parents were tired of taking care of them. Then we find out this might not be an urban legend after all. The fourth-story surprise party is about a group of women who meet a hooded man dressed as a vampire. This story has a very interesting plot twist that you won't see coming. And the last story, Sam, is about the neighbor of the principal from the second story. And he hates Halloween. But as he walks out of his house, he realizes his entire lawn is full of jack-o'-lanterns. And there's mysterious messages written all over. In this story, it's finally revealed who this creepy pumpkin from the movie poster truly is. Follow for more.
Now, I'm sure we've all fallen asleep before and our arm went to sleep, right? And all you need to do to get rid of it is shake your head from left to right and it'll be gone instantly. Next, if you ever feel the urge to pee really bad but you can't find a restroom anywhere, start rubbing the back of your legs just like this. And in theory, it should just stop the urge instantly, because it'll force your brain to forget about it. And if you're ever enjoying a nice ice cream and you start getting brain freeze, try to warm up your thumb and put it in the roof of your mouth as flat as possible. Apparently, this will make your brain freeze go away instantly. And finally, if like many others you're having troubles falling asleep, try to blink your eyes super fast for 60 seconds, because it'll make your eyes tired, which will make it easier for you to fall asleep.
Just blink. These we getting the ultimate life hacks, with these clips. Psychological facts we need to know. The internet. Yeah, stay off the net. That's some good advice. You feel the same way? 3 to 4 a.m.? Really a complicated relation. You don't say. Nicest people look mean at first. That's true. I can believe that one. Songs, they do express feelings and emotions, so.
Southeast Oklahoma. On a foggy day in 1970, a group of high school kids are cruising the back roads of Southeast Oklahoma. One of the boys had to pee, so they pulled over. He got out of the truck, walked about 50 yards into the woods so that he couldn't be seen. He heard a tree snap, looked up, and he's staring in the eyes of a creature 3 foot taller than any man. It had matted hair, red eyes, and blood dripping off his chin. The boys ran as fast as they could back to the truck, yelling, "Start the truck, start the truck!" But what happens next is terrifying. The boys go to the sheriff's department, and when the deputy goes out to investigate, all he sees is animal carcasses everywhere, and the legend of the Green Hill Monster was born.
Green Hill Monster? We're gonna have to definitely do some research on that. That's my first time even hearing about that. That's why I watch these clips with you guys, man. Always expand my knowledge base.
Alright, for real, and I'm gonna show you exactly why. It's always the guy with the backwards baseball cap talking about this goofy shit. How's it going? My name's Vinny Santoro. I got a bachelor's of business from UMass Lowell. I like your chain though, dude. No hard feelings. I know a paisan when I see one. I just gotta give you a hard time. Everything grew a lot bigger because of oxygen levels. You should start teaching critical thinking at UMass Lowell. The time when there was more oxygen was like 200 million years ago, and the only thing that got bigger was insects. If this was a tree, the branches would be in like the goddamn troposphere. Does that make any sense? We read about them everywhere. They're in the Bible. They're right. But wait till you hear this. This book is called The Phantom Toll Booth, and in it there's a dog with a clock in it. Liberal media wants you to think this doesn't exist, but it literally says it right there in the book. The Smithsonian, they had their fingers in all of these reports. I love how many conspiracy theorists cite the whole Smithsonian destroyed giant skeletons claim literally originated in 2014 on a satire website. It was literally like The Onion. You'll get these videos of these conspiracy theorists who are like, yeah, I have my third eye open, I read between the lines, and their source is like fucking Clickhole.
This creepy painting is actually some sort of evil apparition. Let's talk about the Rat Queen from the Layers of Fear remake. And of course, spoilers ahead. The Rat Queen also exists in the original versions of Layers of Fear 1 and 2, but we're going to be focusing on the remake. The Rat Queen appears mostly as a painting in the stories of the painter from Layers of Fear 1 and the actor from Layers of Fear 2. She seems like a malevolent force that rats are drawn to, but it's unclear as to what her intentions are. What's really happening is that in the remake, the writer is writing the stories of the painter and the actor. For those of you not familiar with the series, these are character names. At the beginning of the writer's time living in the lighthouse, she unknowingly enters a pact with the painting of the Rat Queen. And part of that pact is the Rat Queen helping her turn those stories into successful books. However, this comes at a cost, and the writer ended up losing her son as a result of the pact. She returned to the lighthouse to burn the Rat Queen painting, but was met with a surprise. The physical form of the Rat Queen appeared and locked her in the lighthouse forever.
It's a
People are
spooky
freaking out
story.
trying to get the new Lamborghini profile icon, but everyone's getting scammed trying to do it. Over the last few months, there's been loads of profile icons coming out, and now you may have seen this new McLaren one going about. Quite cool, especially compared to some of the other ones we've had, but no one actually knows how to get it. A lot of people were saying that if you just type McLaren in the comment section, it comes up and gives it to you, but it definitely doesn't. But what is the actual way to do it? Well, I'll tell you right now. But first of all, you've got to go over to Tate McRae's page, who, if you don't know, is this person right here. Click on her profile picture and it will come up with this, and you press Get Frame. After that, it will take you to this page, which comes up with her new release and loads of stuff, where then, similar to the Squid Game one, you have to take part in a few challenges, complete these things before you can get it, such as following her, posting a video to the song, and also putting that in the hashtags of the video. Once your video is done, set to public and posted, after you've done this and the video is posted, the frame should just pop up on your page. If it doesn't, just click on your profile picture, go to frames where you can see all of yours, and select this one, and there you go. Scariest.
So I guess that's how people be manipulating the system. Gotta do all that just, and people be doing that just to get an icon of a car on top of their profile. I wonder how many artists does that trick, man. They call it marketing, but could be looking at, as manipulating the market, man. I don't know.
Things ever found in the woods. A biker was in a Colorado forest when he found a metal wire tied across two trees. Soon more bikers began reporting the same thing. Someone had even lost their lives to one of these wires. It seems someone wants to harm bikers for some reason. Police have been looking into this, but so far have not found whoever's doing it. In December 2014, a man heard screaming coming from the woods behind his house.
It's a kid screaming for his dad.
You can hear a girl screaming "Daddy" and an adult voice saying, "Where are you?" The man who heard this said he checked the news every day, but heard nothing about the incident on the news. Some people commented on this, saying it may have been a setup for a kidnapping, but really, we don't know. One day, a Forest Service officer was doing a routine patrol of a trail in Utah. That's when he noticed a tripwire tied between two trees. He followed the wire, and it led him to this. A ball made of rocks and sharpened sticks, which was set to fall when the tripwire was hit. That was bad enough, but he soon found another trap on the same trail. A tripwire pulled tight, which would cause people to fall into a bed of sharpened sticks. Police began investigating this, which led them to two men, Benjamin Rodkowski and Kai Christensen. They claimed the traps had been set for animals, but the police did not believe this. The two men were later sentenced to 30 days in jail.
Just 30 days? These are some Rambo crap. Just 30 days? That ain't enough. You saw that dragonfish? That always blows my mind, man, when we go like under the sea, and we just find new creatures. I'm pretty sure the
Here is
dragonfish
6
ain't
facts that sound completely fake but are 100% true. I can pretty much guarantee one of these will be the coolest thing you've heard all day. Firstly, Picasso was alive at the same time as Eminem and Charles Darwin. Let that sink in for a second. What? Stonehenge was a tourist attraction for ancient Romans. The can opener wasn't invented until 48 years after the can. I mean, what? I imagine a lot of you enjoy eating oysters. I absolutely fucking do not. So might you after this fact. I'm so sorry. Oysters are always served to you alive. They only die when they go down your gullet. I mean, that's just What? If you shuffle a deck of cards, it is statistically likely that you've shuffled them in an order that has never existed before and will never exist again. Essentially, you were the first person in history to shuffle them in that exact sequence. Oh, and while we're on the topic of just what the fuck, there are more ways to play a game of chess than there are atoms in the observable universe. And if you type this into the comments, you unlock a secret TikTok emoji. Okay, that's enough warning for the day. Everyone with me?
Really?
Let's talk about a disturbing horror game that left me with more questions than answers. I Live Under Your House. Full game playthrough on my channel. This entire game is an enigma. You play as an unnamed creature that we never get to see. The only thing we know about your character is that they live underground beneath modern human civilization. You don't like leaving your tunnels, you don't want to go to the surface. But in this game, you have to. Loud construction work occurring directly above you causes you to investigate the surface, and you end up coming face to face with the human couple. The main hook of the gameplay is the amazing art style and trying to figure out what exactly you are. And the ending of this game, as well as its DLC, were certainly not what I expected.
So check that out. I think I could check out some scary games.
This is genuinely one of the most disturbing videos I have ever seen. It is the final footage that was found of a man who got lost in the Paris catacombs. In the 90s, a group of explorers were going through the catacombs of Paris, and they were getting pretty deep in there when they found a camera that was just abandoned. And upon reviewing the footage, they realized that it was from a man who was exploring down there, but he got lost. Watching the footage is incredibly chilling because he's picking up bones and skulls while he's exploring, but there's a point where either he hears something or he sees something and he begins running. He's running frantically and you can hear his breath getting louder and louder and louder. There's points where he doesn't know which way to turn, and finally, as he's running, he drops the camera. Based off of the paintings that people were able to see in the footage and the testimony of the people who found the camera, this man was insanely deep underground in the catacombs. He was really far into the uncharted sections. And you may have heard of the film As Above, So Below, the movie that was actually inspired by this footage. As Above, So Below is a found footage horror movie about a group of people going into the Paris catacombs trying to find a hidden chamber to find the Philosopher's Stone, the secret to eternal life, but they actually end up going into the layers of hell. And the creators of this film saw this found footage from the 90s and it inspired them to make their own movie. So As Above, So Below is based on a true story. I'm doing a whole episode over on my pod Frightful Fandom talking about the history of the catacombs, what they were used for, this very unfortunate true life case, and of course As Above, So Below.
Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed. Like for part 3.
Y'all do not know what will be going through people's... Keep your cell phone charged.
This is why you should always keep your phone charged. A girl named Marissa came home from school at around 3 p.m. She walked in the door and told her mom that some random number kept calling her all day. Her mom told her the person may have the wrong number and just to ignore it. Marissa said okay and begins to do her homework. A couple hours later, she receives a phone call from the same number. Marissa answers it this time and says, "Hello?" The man then says, "We finally found you. Don't worry, bunny." Marissa begins to panic and tells her mom what just happened. Her mom's face goes blank and says, "What did the man just call you?" Marissa says, "He called me bunny." Her mom yells and says, "Grab your stuff, we need to leave." Marissa, confused, packs her things and gets into the red car. Her mom begins driving fast and turns on the radio. The radio says, "The baby named Marissa who was kidnapped in the hospital 10 years ago has been found and police are searching for a red car." Marissa looks at the woman and says, "Who are you?" The woman looks back and says, "You can call me mommy."
People you never knew existed. This is Josephine Myrtle, and she was born with 4 legs and 2 sets of genitals. Despite having these conditions, she got married and had 5 kids. These are the only 2 men in the world who can speak the Ayacaneco language in Mexico, but they don't talk to each other because they have beef. Doctors were left stunned when this man came into the hospital complaining about chest pain. After a couple of scans, they realized he had 2 hearts. Jill Price has perfect memory of her life, and if you ask her what she ate for breakfast 20 years ago, she would get it right.
What the heck? I can't even know what I had for breakfast like 2 weeks ago. And she has perfect memory like that? Hey man, the world has extraordinary people, bro. You always gotta be on the lookout.
Most Evilest Children, Part 1. Mary Bell. Mary Bell was born from a 17-year-old sex worker in England. Throughout this little girl's childhood, she was always abused. From her own mother and from her mother's clients. That's when she decided to take her anger out on other people. The day before her 11th birthday, she took this little boy into an abandoned house and strangled him. His name was Martin Brown. Her and her friend Norma Brown even went to a nursery home and trashed it, but the cops let it go because they thought it was a sick prank. Then they took this little boy named Brian Howe by the nursery and also strangled him. Mary did unspeakable things to his body. She was then convicted of manslaughter and deemed a psychopath. She was locked up for 12 years but then got released in 1980 at the age of 23. She was then given a brand new identity to avoid the spotlight. So now she's free to do whatever she wants. She can even be your neighbor and you would never even know. Like this video for a part 2 of Evilest Children.
Yeah, I see that part 2, man.
The creepiest urban legends from around the world, part 5. Scotland, the White Death. Legend holds that there was once a little girl who hated being alive so much she wanted to destroy every trace of herself. She burned all her belongings and then killed herself. But then her family found out, and within a few days, they were all found dead with their limbs torn apart. It's said that her vengeful spirit returned as the White Death to hunt down anybody who knows about her existence. And before she kills you, she'll knock at your door 7 times.
Hey, these creepy folklores, man, there's always, like I said, some truth behind the story, so...
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Anna said that her grandfather died from lung cancer. He was fine, but then once he was diagnosed, he deteriorated very quickly. Within a month from his diagnosis, he had passed away. She said that her father took care of him in his room around the clock until the day that he died. During this time period, he would get very focused on the corners of the room. He would stare at them, and then later he would say things like, "Get them away. I see them in the corners. And I see the dark in the corners." Anna said that her and her family would ask what, where, but the only thing he would say was, "The corner." Anna said that her mother witnessed this and got very frightened. Anna's mother said that what he was seeing was not a good sign and that it could mean that he has many sins. Her mother grew up in a small village where there were many sayings like that. She said that some people usually see their dead relatives when they're dying, but others see some not so good things. Anna thinks that her mother was implying that he was seeing demons.
This is the scary truth behind
What was he
celebrities.
saying?
If you ever seen a celebrity do this hand symbol and then place it over their eyes in photos, it's actually not a fun symbol. It actually symbolizes the number 666. And these aren't the only symbols that celebrities express to the public. And it's leading many people to believe
that they are doing symbols like this to symbolize their alliance to the Illuminati. This is extremely crazy, but let's be honest, these symbols that they are doing don't look normal at all. And it really makes you think why they are doing them.
Hey man, we know, man, how celebrities, how they can get into things, man. And it's really bad for everybody, man. We see the stuff that's going on with Diddy, bro. So, yeah, man, anything's possible, man. This year was full of exposing, so I mean, if somebody has a symbol up like that, I just say just be aware. Keep a close eye on them, man.
The rarest things in the world, part 11. The pinstripes on every Rolls Royce since 2003 have been painted by one man named Mark Korb. It's the last manufacturing step and can't afford even the slightest mistake, since the paint instantly bonds with the car's body and can't be erased. A Russian girl named Amina is admired for her unusual beauty. She's diagnosed with 2 rare genetic conditions, albinism, which makes her skin and hair extremely white, and heterochromia, in which her eyes are different colors. Costing around $300 per pound, A5 olive Wagyu beef is the rarest steak in the world. Due to the cow's specialized diet of caramelized olive pulp, the steak gives off hints of olive oil and is very buttery in texture. In 1989 Wisconsin, 7 generations of a family were alive at the same time. The ages of the mothers/daughters were 109, 89, 70, 52, 33, 15, and 1 month. This unbelievable occurrence remains undisputed and stands as a world record to this day.
Does that mean that the 15 had a kid? It would have to be, right? Yeah, because that generation 1 month? What the? We ain't seen that again.
Look, I get it. I got a platform. I gotta watch what I say, even as a joke, whatever. The thing is, I've had an actual hot take that I've been holding on to for way too long. But like, an actual hot take. I'm gonna need y'all to hear me out. Give me a chance. Now, exotic pets are wrong. That's a fat thumbs down. I feel like cheetahs are begging to be tamed. Now listen, I'm not talking house pets. You wouldn't feed them right. There isn't a backyard big enough. They'd be miserable. Fat, no. But the way we weaponize falcons, we can get a lot of mileage out of a feline Ferrari. Cheetahs are probably the most people-safe predators on the planet. I don't know if a cheetah's ever life retired a person, but I know they must have deserved it. And I know you've seen that video of that forest guard culling a family of cheetahs every night. Also think about this. Cheetahs aren't even big cats. Big cats are like lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars. Cheetahs are basically overgrown house cats that got thrown into the savannah. It's like taking the best 5th grade basketball player in the world and putting him in the NBA. It's a wild mismatch. They get bullied so bad they literally need emotional support dogs in captivity just to have the confidence to be themselves. So yeah, I think if we had the tools, a cheetah-human duo would go crazy. And F it, another hot take. If cheetahs ever get to that point, I think they're fine right now, but if they ever get close to extinction like they were back in the day, we really could just airdrop them to Australia. And I know most things in Australia eventually become a problem, and every time we try to play God, we get burnt, but it'd really be them and dingoes, and cheetahs would probably nerf the rabbit problem, and keep kangaroos humble. But yeah, if there's a wild animal humanity wants to collab with next, please let it be cheetahs.
Crazy facts you
Cheetahs next up on the list?
Humans share 50% of their DNA with bananas. There's a planet made of diamonds in our galaxy. There's more stars in the universe than grains of sand on every place in Earth. Bananas are berries, but strawberries aren't. Imagine having facts like this delivered to you every day. I found this app called Nibble, and it's a great way to dive into quick, fun lessons on any topic you can imagine. From art to science to finance, Nibble's got it all covered in bite-sized lessons. With Nibble's 10-minute interactive lessons, you'll learn much faster. It's like my personal knowledge hack I use to learn things quickly. So if you want to learn things fast, try out Nibble today and learn in a different way.
A few months ago, we talked about this terror that's at Disneyland, where you go in a boat and through Monstro's mouth and you can see the top of its mouth with all of its veins in its mouth, and it's terrifying. But have you ever seen the animatronic one that's at Disneyland Paris? Because there's a ride called Pinocchio's Daring Journey in Disneyland Paris, and this gigantic animatronic whale, Monstro, pops out at you. I would crap myself. This picture is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life, where the lights are on and you can see what it looks like before it pops out. Am I the only one extremely creeped out by this picture in particular? Here's another picture of the lights kind of on, where it's in this enclave. Why is it giving Little Shop of Horrors? But this is where it looks like in the complete darkness. Whew. So yeah, watch this. Would you ever go on this ride? Have you ever gone on this ride? Are you scared of whales as well? Watch this. Let me know how you're feeling.
Okay, let's check it out.
A 24-year-old mukbanger
Yeah, I'm good.
just died after her stomach ripped open on live stream. This was also a 10-hour live stream. It was very lengthy, and she was consuming a lot of things: cake, chicken, everything, you name it. She was a Chinese woman by the name of Pan Xiaoting. She died last week from a stomach rupture on the live stream after consuming over 15 pounds of food. The autopsy report suggested that her stomach literally ripped open because there was a lot of undigested food in there and the stomach was distended. This was not the first incident either. She was hospitalized a few months ago for her stomach bleeding for the same thing, eating a lot of food on a live stream. And it's sad too, because even her parents are begging her to stop. A lot of mukbang culture has become a little toxic. The more outrageous it gets, the more viewers, these people get and the more money they make. It kind of incentivizes them to destroy their bodies in this way. I really feel for this young girl and her family. It's just so sad. Hopefully other mukbangers see this and they take this as like a warning. Just be more careful. Your stomach can literally rupture. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Hello?
15 pounds of food, man. And it said that she was already hospitalized before that for stomach bleeding, man. These mukbangs, bro. Palm Kiss Nico, Avocado Man, remember how he was, but then he dropped the video saying he lost all that weight. But then there was some more footage that came out just saying, oh, it's like edited or something like that. But it's just, those mukbangers, I don't think I could ever be a mukbang, man, because you gotta consume all that food. I get full fast, so that ain't for me.
Hello?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh my god! What the?
He hit the jets, bro. Deuces. I wouldn't even been there, bro. You're brave.
Imagine going to the gym and never leaving, y'all. This is absolutely heartbreaking. So a man named Brian Sink, I believe that's his name, that from what I've looked into, lost his life inside of one of the tanning beds in a Planet Fitness and stayed there for almost 2 days, y'all. They weren't able to even locate this man or even know this man was missing. Now, according to what I looked into, he went to the gym around the time, I guess, they were closed, and had, used the tanning room, and at the time that they had closed up, for whatever reason, they had not realized he was still in there and occupying that area, and no one might have checked. I don't know. All I know that there was reports in Indiana at a Planet Fitness, it's the exact location right here, that a man was found deceased inside of a tanning bed, like one of those long, rectangular like tanning beds. And they are still trying to figure out how he managed to get stuck in there. Y'all, be careful with everything going on in this world. Someone just got stuck in a Tesla. Please be safe and careful when you go places.
So the case of the female Hannibal Lecter is hands down the most shocking I've ever encountered. And I've seen a lot, but worst is what happened to her final romantic partner. Now, she had an intention to seek revenge on this man because he had left her, and again, she has this pervasive feeling that she needs to control everything around her, including him. So what she did was a true horror story. If you do want additional details on this, we have an entire episode on the case. Basically, he didn't show up for work, and a lot of people at his work, they knew that Catherine was a violent problem in his life, so police were sent to his home, and this is what they found. Catherine had knifed through his body upwards of 37 times. She then skinned him and hung the skin up in the foyer, and then she hoisted up the body, removed the head, propped him up in an armchair, like positioned him and posed him, and then police were wondering, where's the head? Where did she take the head? We go into the kitchen. She was boiling it. He had spent hours cooking all these ingredients from his body with the intention that when his daughters came home, they would walk in, see their dad's skin hanging up in the entrance of the home, see his body hoisted up in the chair, and then she would force them to eat their dad. I am telling you, doing night security, it's gotta be one of the scariest jobs. Okay, so this photo right here, this was captured by Michael Hostin on the 3rd floor bathroom of a Dallas shopping mall. The reason he took it was because he's night security and he heard noises coming from this bathroom, but he was nervous to check the actual stall, so he sends a picture to his coworker. After he sent the picture, he eventually leaves the bathroom, but then gets a text where his coworker says, "Keep your weapon drawn and call for backup." He had no idea what he was talking about until he increased the brightness of this picture. It's not easy to see in the dark, but with the photo enhanced and slightly brightened, you can see somebody peeking over the top of that middle stall. Someone was in there looking directly at him as he searched the bathroom. But even with a visual, by the time backup eventually came, whoever this was, they were gone, and we were left with this picture. And if you're loving Creep Time, make sure to go follow on Insta.
Woo. I mean, I couldn't see nothing either until, like you said, you increased the brightness, bro. That's why, man, be careful when you're out in the dark.
There's so many flies in there. So, we found this abandoned house, and there's just flies. We wanted to go inside, but now we're like scared to go inside. They're in every single window, and they're like alive. But you see that up there? You see all the flies?
Something in there.
What is this? They're like blankets and clothes.
Call the cops.
Breaking news, a man who had been missing since Friday was found deceased inside of a Planet Fitness tanning bed. They confirmed that the 39-year-old went into the tanning bed on Friday morning and was not found until 3 days later on Monday morning. Authorities said his aunt reported him missing on Friday, and she said he was wearing an ankle monitor that helped investigators determine that he never left the gym. A woman who was at Planet Fitness that morning before law enforcement showed up said that she and other members noticed a foul smell in the building that got worse near the tanning rooms. She said the tanning bed has a door, I believe, but still, why are we not concerned that the tanning bed has been closed for 3 days potentially? Since the incident, they put a sign on the door saying tanning is currently unavailable, but the rest of the gym is in full use. When they reached out to Planet Fitness for a comment, they said they could only confirm they were investigating a death at the location and they didn't elaborate on the circumstances. He said it's a local franchise and they're going to look into what happened with the franchise owner. Man's family called him a loving person, and they said they hope to see stricter policies on cleaning and end-of-day checklists for staff to prevent this from happening again. Let me know what you guys think about this, but rest in peace to this poor man, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
I just realized, like, boy, it shouldn't have took like 2 days for them to, like, I guess, to check on the tanning bed room. Like, they freaking smelled that foul smell, but then nobody checked on it. That has me asking some questions. Like, there's no way, man. 2 days, nobody checked the tanning bed room, and then to hear that it's still in use, man. These companies, bro, all they care about is money. We have to shut that whole place down. Who even want to go there after hearing that?
Let's talk about one of the most craziest documented mermaid cases in history. When I tell y'all this whole thing is wild because it's actually documented. Now this took place in the Kai Islands during 1943 during World War II. And basically these Japanese soldiers were stationed with a surveillance team in this small remote island in Indonesia, which is known as the Kai Islands, and they reported seeing some strange stuff, y'all. And every time they seen these creatures, it was near the water. And these are Japanese soldiers we're talking about, y'all. And they were saying that they were seeing these mer-like beings around 150 centimeters tall and having like a pinkish skin, as well as like prominent spines on their heads. But they said unlike the classical mermaids, they didn't have fishtails. And it was also stated that they had like rows of like these sharp catty-like teeth. And the soldiers said that the faces was not cute at all, not like the mermaids we're used to. They had like human-like, ape-like features and spines along the neck and a lipless mouth with tiny little sharp teeth and shoulder-length hair. Basically, like, the Japanese soldiers was like asking the locals and the indigenous people of the Kai Islands, like, what is this? Like, what is going on? Is this normal? And they were very familiar with these creatures, and excuse me if I pronounced it wrong, but they called them Irangi Khan or something like that, which basically means man-fish or mermaid. So these Japanese soldiers think they were tripping, but this whole time the people already knew about it and they live amongst them. Like, they're just used to it at this point. And they've been spotting them all over the beaches and the lagoons for years. And it was one night, one of the soldiers was on the beach at night and he thought it was a child, but he was like, that's weird for a child to be, you know, out here by himself on the beach. Until the creature turned around and he could see in the moonlight the facial features. And when the creature basically noticed that the soldier was watching the whole time, he turned around and looked at him and just dived right in the water and did not resurface ever. So these soldiers were just so scared and like basically being harassed by these creatures to the point where they told their sergeant. So the sergeant went and spoke with basically like the chief or the leader of the Kai Islands at the time. And he told him that, you know, this is normal, but if we catch one, you know, over the years we'll, you know, one will wash up or we'll, you know, make a mistake and catch one in its nets. But it was like, if we catch one, we will, you know, let you know and you can come see it. And they did. So they basically called the sergeant and he went to see this creature and he was in shambles. I'm talking about flabbergasted. Like he was in complete shock, like at what he was seeing. Like, this is a whole mermaid creature in front of me. And these people are used to this. Like, they just casually caught this on a good old random Friday. So whenever the sergeant went back to, you know, where their designated area back in Japan or wherever they were, he was basically telling the people, the government and just like the people in the military, everything that was going on, scientists, he was like saying basically, y'all need to go research what's going on over there. This is not normal. But people really laughed at him and pushed it to the side because it didn't help that he didn't have any actual evidence or any pictures of it. So they really like was not studying him, and it actually kind of like made his reputation, because you know he's a respected sergeant in the military. The Japanese military at that, and you up here coming up me telling me about these mermaid stories. But this whole case was wild. This is actually a real documented case. You can search it up and everything. Like, these people were real life seeing mermaids. And the people that lived there, the indigenous people that lived there, was just used to it. They don't bother us, we don't bother them. Simple. But let me know what y'all think about this crazy mermaid story, because this is actually very true and very wild. And don't forget to stay tuned for more of my mermaid tales from across the globe.
Sound like
facts that will ruin your life. A different version of you exists in the minds of everyone who knows you. Nighttime is the natural state of the universe. Daytime is only caused by a nearby radiating ball of flame. The word mortgage comes from a French term that means death pledge, or a contract that only expires upon death. Over 50% of commercial pilots have all admitted to falling asleep while flying a plane. The sun may have exploded, and we wouldn't know it for at least 8 minutes. Hit the plus sign if these disturbed you.
the fact about the mortgage is basically saying it's come from a death term.
Here are some things that are completely normal during the day, but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard, and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you, too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls, because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me, because most instances, I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like, imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door during the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor, and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
People you never knew existed. This is Josephine Myrtle, and she was born with 4 legs and 2 sets of genitals. Despite having these conditions, she got married and had 5 kids. These are the only 2 men in the world who can speak the Ayacaneco language in Mexico. But they don't talk to each other because they have beef. Doctors were left stunned when this man came into the hospital complaining about chest pain. After a couple of scans, they realized he had 2 hearts. Jill Price has perfect memory of her life, and if you ask her what she ate for breakfast 20 years ago, she would get it right.
I think the thing that got me the most was when the girl, woman who had like 5 sets of freaking legs and genitals. Man, it's freaking mind blowing out here, bro. These people, man, you think wouldn't exist. It's like they're coming out of a freaking video game or something like that. Extraordinary people in this world. You gotta expand your mind.
What could be more terrifying than the thought of your own body setting itself on fire? For hundreds of years, this phenomenon has been the subject of scientific scrutiny as well as deep, deep mystery. Spontaneous human combustion. This is when the human body appears to ignite internally, a
fire starting from within before the entire body becomes engulfed. This actually dates all the way back to the 1600s, and since then there have only ever been about 200 cases reported worldwide. In 1984, a scientific team was assembled led by Joe Nickell to investigate a number of these cases dating back to the 1800s. One of the unusual threads that was found between all of these cases was that with every body investigated, there seemed to be some trace of alcohol in the system. This gave way to the wick theory, suggesting that if alcohol was in the system and there was some kind of a chemical change that could ignite a fire, body fat could be used as an accelerant, making the mystery of this phenomenon one you should think about next time you're drinking.
That's why I don't even drink.
Is this a coincidence? Tree stump. Fingerprints.
Similar.
Tree branch. Human lungs. Leaf veins. Human veins.
Some chilling similarities.
Tree of life. Human placenta. Grass. Human hair. Tree roots. Human veins. River network. Human veins. Tree roots. Human nervous system. Corn plant. Human spine.
Let me find out.
You are today years old.
Don't tell me we're just basically more evolved a version of a tree, man. The tree branches and the lugs, man. And they look similar. That's the grass and the human hair. It was eerie similar, bro. Don't tell me we're just basically a more evolved version of a tree.
Old when you found these out. If you want to heat up some food at night, microwaves have a silent mode. To activate the silent mode, all you have to do is hold down the 1 button. So you're driving a car, you need gas, but you don't know which side the tank is on. If you look on the dashboard, there's an arrow next to the gas tank indicating which side the gas tank is on. Surprisingly, the drawer under the oven isn't used to hold pots and pans. It's made to keep your food warm until you're ready to eat.
Wow.
Airplane windows actually have little holes in them to prevent the windows from fogging. These candies are called lifesavers because if a child accidentally chokes someone, they will still be able to breathe because of the hole in the middle.
Now I know where the name come from. What was the wonder? That was a weird name for a candy. Lifesavers. Just an added seekers. Trees walking. Now, come on now.
Don't freak out, but this bug lives on your face. Demodex mites dig face first inside your pores. But don't freak out, they're harmless. They just eat your grease and dead skin on your face. But there is one thing you should be worried about. Don't cry, but they do wake up in the middle of the night to mate on your face. Yeah, now you know. But they're harmless. And they live on all of you. Live with it. Like if you want a part 2 of things you don't know that live on your body.
That my face right now? What the hell, bro?
This is what we know about the awful case of 16-year-old Shelby Binney. Shelby was a cheerleader at Bixby High School, and on Thursday night, her family was on their way home with her dad behind the wheel. He had reportedly been drinking, and according to her mom, they were also having a heated argument up in the front seat. At 70 miles per hour, he tried to pass another vehicle in a no-passing zone, and their SUV flipped. As we know, Shelby was tragically ejected from her family's vehicle on impact. A bystander immediately ran over to the scene, but there aren't even words for what happened next. Shelby's father was reportedly standing disoriented just outside of the crashed car, and when asked if anyone was hurt, he ran away. He left his 16-year-old daughter there to die on the pavement. Now, according to police, they were able to determine that Elliot had fled to a local family-owned business, and it was there that he got access to another car. They were able to electronically track that vehicle, and within 12 hours, they found him behind the wheel in a town about an hour away. It was obviously too late to give him a DUI test, but he was taken into custody. With Elliot's arrest, we know that while he tried to tell police he skidded on an oil spot, he's also
also admitted to taking a few swigs of the vodka bottle that was found in the front seat. Today, Elliot is charged with first-degree manslaughter, but he has already posted his $100,000 bail. And as for Shelby's mom and her siblings, again, unfortunately, we don't know how they're doing now. Shelby is described as a bright light with a heart of gold and the best teammate you could ask for. If you would like to support your family during this time, the link will be in my bio.
People need to stop driving, man, when they're intoxicated. It's very simple.
Yeah, the hyena's a girl. So many may know, female hyenas have a fake meat hose that looks almost identical to the real thing. And for those that don't, actually, that's the lead. They have a pseudo-phallus that they give birth from, and yes, it's as traumatizing as you think, and yes, the very process of birth can end up doing the exact opposite for everyone involved. But low-key, having a built-in flesh strap might explain why hyenas are exactly the way they are. So for most animals, life pretty much comes down to the 3 F's: food, fights, and... So a lot of times when male animals run a fade, it's for the goal of female validation. But hyenas having a female 5th leg means they have a natural crotch block. It's basically anti-mating hardware that means the no-pants dance can only happen if she allows it. So unlike things like lions or bears, there's really no reason for male hyenas to want smoke with each other when getting it in is already RNG. Pun intended. And it's believed having coitus completely out of their control is why male hyenas are way less aggressive and even have less testosterone than the females. Meanwhile, the females are more on-go than a green light. And why hyena sisters are way more likely to put each other on a t-shirt. And with them being pack animals with a whole social ladder, the Walking Comedy Club had to become more aggressive just to give their cubs a chance at life. Matter of fact, that's probably why they have more testosterone. So yeah, moral of this video. Lion King did hyenas every type of dirty, but they got it right when they had Shenty giving orders. And now you know why.
Horses are much bigger
Just
than
registered.
people, so naturally they just have a lot more blood than we do. So whenever horses get nosebleeds, it ends up looking like a whole crime scene. So one of the only reasons we know how many people died in the Titanic are the shoes that are laying on the ocean floor. Some are pretty cool, others are kind of depressing. And the reason we count the shoes instead of, bones is because when the Titanic hit the floor, all the corpses kind of just scattered and the fish ate the corpses, but the fish couldn't eat the shoes. If you ever decide to go climb Mount Everest, I hope that you remember that the crevices in the ice are V-shaped. Which means if you were to ever accidentally fall down one, you more than likely wouldn't die instantly. Your body heat would melt the ice around you, causing you to slip further and further down until your chest couldn't expand enough to breathe. So make sure you bring a friend just as crazy as you to help get you out.
Mount Everest. One of the most deadliest places ever.
My favorite case of all time. Like, I actually get butterflies in my stomach every time I revisit this case. I'm just so fascinated by the killer. He was so dedicated. He was gorgeous. Super, super dreamy. Like, if he wasn't behind bars, I would probably be with him. And just how dedicated he was to chopping her into bits and pieces. I mean, he really had no remorse, and we almost have to appreciate that. Like, the fact that he carried this chainsaw around for miles and miles, and after chopping her up, it just wasn't enough that he decided to also set on fire. I'm like, there's something hot about that. Siri, play This Girl Is on Fire. We can make jokes now, guys. It's been a long time. The best part about this is that this killer had no remorse. During the court hearing, he actually sat and looked her family members dead in the eyes. Dead, get it, guys? And he actually just laughed the entire time. And you know what? I can appreciate a man who doubles down. Also, disclaimer before people get their panties in a twist, I'm being super, super respectful of the family. I'm only sharing things that I've seen already on the internet, so I'm not making things up. These are just facts, and I just want to share that with you guys.
Here are some facts that
Nah, some of those we can juke. You can't break the case down like that, man. Like, it's too much. She's just a little bit too happy me explaining what was going on, man. But she said from a POV, so obviously she was just doing, I guess, what some other people be doing when they breaking down cases, but that ain't the way to do it.
You were never taught that could legitimately save your life one day. So listen the back up. If there is a random smell of fish in your house when you haven't had fish, obviously, how do I put this? Get the fuck out! Because this is most likely a sign of an electrical fire. If someone you know is having a heart attack and you need to give them aspirin, be sure they chew it before they swallow it because it makes it work faster. If you are outside or high up or whatever, and you not only hear a crunching, crickling noise in the sky, also your hair starts to randomly stand up like it's static, you need to run, because you, my friend, are about to get struck by lightning. You are in the pool and the pool water starts tasting metallic. First piece of advice, stop drinking pool water! Get the fuck out, because there's most likely an electrical short somewhere in the water. Finally, bats are the best place to hide during a tornado. So grab your rubber ducky and wait it out. It's a big deal. If you didn't know any of these, you have to share it, and all with me now.
This is the
You learn
scary
anything new,
truth about
Seekers?
Mars. So everybody knows humans are trying to get people to live on Mars. especially Elon Musk. But none of these people ever tell you the scary truth about the red planet Mars. Mars is actually famous for its dust storms, and they have the largest sandstorms in the entire solar system. These storms can last for months, and these storms just don't stick to one area. These storms actually engulf the entire planet of Mars, and the winds can reach up to 60 miles per hour. These sandstorms can also block the sun, which would just start a domino effect of problems. So, if us humans actually make it to Mars, one of these storms can just kill us all and just ruin all the years of hard work to get there.
So why they want us to go to Mars then? If they know this information. I'm starting to think it's a setup. Those people going to Mars might be a trap, man. The more you know, Seekers. You gotta stay on Earth, man. I never even knew that until I watched these clips with you guys, bro. That's why I was always expanding my mind.
This is the dirtiest man in the world. Mal Haji is in his 80s and he hasn't bathed for over 60 years. He leads a nomadic lifestyle in Iran, and his favorite food is rotten porcupine, and he smokes animal feces out of a pipe. He believes that cleanliness will bring him sickness, and he says the thought of taking a bath after all this time makes him angry.
Don't go 60 years without
Now I know we all love
taking
the
a
thought of
shower.
little old E.T. coming to visit Earth, making his entrance like, hello. But maybe that isn't such a good idea for, you know, fucking humanity. Actually, a lot of scientists hope that the universe is completely empty. We're so lonely. The theoretical Great Filter is fucking terrifying. The scientists have calculated that there should be at least 20 civilizations in our galaxy alone. So, E.T., where the fuck are you? Come home to Tatty. Or a more terrifying question, what happened to them? That is what scientists are asking. The Great Filter. The belief that somewhere along life's trajectory, life suddenly goes, you know what, nah, fuck you all. Completely wiping it out before it becomes too intelligent. An inevitable, unavoidable phenomenon. It's different to every civilization. It could be disease. We have enough fucking that. Nuclear power, AI, no wait, no, too soon. Or one of these fucking things. Now there's two options. One, we're already ahead of the Great Filter. We survived or did the undoable, making us very rare. Or we're behind it, still yet to face our challenge that we most likely won't survive. And we won't see it coming. Elon!
You guys think we made it past the Great Filter yet? I don't know. What the hell were those things walking? Can't even explain that.
Kids have ever said. A man's mother passed away in a car accident when he was 6 years old. When his 2-year-old daughter saw a picture of her grandmother for the first time, she laughed. He asked her, "What's so funny?" She looked at him and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." A man's 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while. She turned back to her dad and said, "Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it." A woman and her 4-year-old son were out in public when all of a sudden he starts rubbing on her belly and talking to it. She asked what he was doing, and he said, "I'm talking to the baby." She informed him politely that she was not pregnant, and then he said, "There is a baby in your belly. I just saw it crawl across the floor and climb up into you." A woman's 5-year-old asked when he was going to be 23 years old. She told him in 18 years. He replied, "Well, I hope I don't die again, because that's how old I was the last time I went to heaven." Follow for more of the...
That last one. Chilling. Like he caught a glimpse of his past life where he knew. We saw clips before about kids talking about past lives and it was true, so.
This is real footage that was accidentally captured by a group of scientists that were looking for an old library. They found an ancient cult that had been around for thousands of years, using teeth as their form of currency.
This elusive cult has rarely ever been captured on camera. You see, this cult wears masks to hide their identity, as well as hooded cloaks that are either red or black, and worship a god called Winfred Stitch. And that's why this cult is called the Stitch Veneration. They can often be found at music concerts, and only one musician called Covey is known to be a Stitcher, with the Stitch symbol tattooed on his hand, and fans wear masks to all of the shows.
It's right in front of our eyes. We ain't even paying attention.
I want to go ahead and I want to discuss this Instagram story and what makes this diabolically creepy. So I'm not going to give the name, I blocked everything out because clearly they want to remain anonymous. Context is that somebody clearly broke into their old school. I don't know if it was their middle school, high school, whatever it was. And they posted this to their story, but pretty soon after people started commenting about what they see in the background. You zoom in just a little bit, you would see that this person was not alone in that classroom. But before we take a deeper look at that photo, a huge thank you to Spyfly for bringing me this story. If you want to look up something about somebody, you go to Spyfly. How to become this one-stop shop where you can do background reports, you can look at arrest records, you can even do reverse phone lookup. Spyfly.com is going to be the place to do it. You can check the link in my bio for more details. So back to this photo. I don't know if you can see this, but there is definitely somebody crouching in the background of this classroom. And if you still doubt me, I zoomed in and enhanced the picture for you.
Damn.
This is John List.
I saw it.
In 1971, he murdered his entire immediate family before escaping and starting a completely new life that he lived for more than 17 years before he was eventually caught. This is a wild story. I covered it on the latest episode of my podcast, but here's an overview. In 1951, John List married Helen Taylor, and together they had 3 children, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick. List had served in the Army and was an accountant with a successful career working as a comptroller for a bank in Jersey City, New Jersey. The family lived in a 19-room mansion in Westfield, New Jersey called Breeze Knoll. And the 5 of them, along with John's mother Alma, who was also living with them, were swimming in space there. The family seemed to have a happy life here. It seemed like John was successful, and they weren't super social, but everything seemed fine. The kids were popular and hardworking, and nobody knew anything bad about the family. Behind closed doors, things were not as they seemed. Helen was an alcoholic and was extremely ill from contracting syphilis from her first husband. And John List had lost his job at the bank. But instead of telling his family, he basically went to work every day pretending that he was going to his job and coming home after work hours. And he started skimming money off of his mother's bank account to help pay the mortgage. But then on November 9th, 1971, John List would do the unthinkable. That morning, he dropped the kids off at school and returned home. And when he got home, he took out one of his guns, approached his wife of almost 20 years, and shot her in the back of the head. He then went up to the attic apartment where his 84-year-old mother lived and shot her as well. When 16-year-old Patricia and 13-year-old Frederick arrived home from school, List attacked them from behind, shooting them each in the back of the head. List then made himself some lunch. He went into the bank and closed both him and his mother's accounts, and then he went to Westfield High School where he watched his middle son, John Frederick, play a soccer game. After the game, he drove 15-year-old John Frederick home. And when they got home, he attacked. John Frederick tried to fight back, but unfortunately, he ended up succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. List then placed the bodies of Helen, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick on top of sleeping bags in the mansion's ballroom. He left Alma up in the attic apartment because she was too heavy to drag down. He then wrote a letter to his pastor confessing what he had done, and he wrote letters to the kids' school saying that they would be gone visiting a sick relative for a few weeks so nobody would suspect them missing. Then he walked around the house and removed every single photo of himself from all of the photo albums. Finally, he started piping religious music throughout the home, and then he left. By the time the bodies were discovered a month later, John List was long gone. And while he was the immediate main suspect in the murders, police didn't have a lot to go on, and they were unable to circulate a recent photo of him because he had removed every single photo of himself from inside the house. The family's car was found at JFK Airport, but John List went...
That's a shapeshifter. Story time. Growing up in Haiti, or anyone who has Haitian parents can tell you that there is such a thing as shapeshifters, lugauts in Haiti. And that is the reason why they also tell you whenever you hear a cat sounding like that outside your house at a certain time at night, you should not go outside to go see what's wrong with the cat, because usually it's not a cat, and you will not live to see or tell the story of what you would witness. So I remember one time we were all in the house. It was late, very, very late. Usually we'll stay up even though we cannot be outside at a certain time. If you go to Haiti, you should always listen to the locals when they tell you do not go at a certain area to a certain area, or at a certain time go outside. Because trust me, you won't make it back in the house. And I'm not even over exaggerating. But anyway, so we were all in the house. We were young, but there was a bunch of grown-ups in the house also. Everybody's sleeping, and we were all waking up by this big boom that was on top of the house. And in Haitian houses in Haiti, they actually don't have like real like roof like we have here, but they have like metals. So any little thing you can hear it. Even like the rain, we usually are able to fall asleep with the rain sound because it's just so loud and it's so soothing and all that stuff. But when the nightmare starts, trust me, you will hear every single thing. So we're sleeping and we're all waking up at this boom. Even the children, you know how children can sleep real well, right? They sleep through everything. We all were waking up. But the grown-ups already know because they're so used to it. And also we know a well-known lugau in the town that everybody could respect because we know how powerful she is. And a lot of people have been taken out by her, but they can never prove that it was her until one day. Okay. So anyways, we're all sleeping and we're waking up by the sound, and we just hear footsteps on top of the house just walking as if like it's like, you know, grains falling in the house, but it's like real loud footsteps, just walking, and all the adults just start praying, and the children were just scared because we're so used to hearing stories about that happening, and eventually it happened to us. So we're like scared, and the adults are praying, even though like voodoo is a religion in Haiti, they still pray. A lot of people pray but still practice voodoo because that's really our religion. Just like the Catholic people, they also practice voodoo, but also they tell you that it's bad. Anyways, so they're praying. The children are trying to figure out what's going on. While the baby, my aunt had a baby that was just a few weeks old, not even a month, a few weeks old. The baby just kept crying non-stop. And they usually, whenever they come in on top of your house, they're coming for the baby, not children who are a certain age. They're coming for the innocent, right? So the baby's crying. The people are praying, so there's a lot going on, and the noise on top and everything. All of a sudden, the noise stopped, but we hear a cat right by the door, literally right at the door, right? This cat just sounded like a baby. It's literally almost matching the sound of the baby that's crying. The cat sounded like a baby, scratching at the door, making noises, scratching at the door, making noises, and that's when the prayers started louder and louder. And eventually the children fell asleep because the cat just kept going. I fell asleep because I was young at the time. Then eventually we heard the story the next day, but then what really made us believe it is what we saw the next day, what we experienced the next day. So we fell asleep. The adults, I guess, continue to do whatever they're doing. The next day we wake up to the horror of everything. The baby that was crying was basically covered in ants, covered head to toe, ants eating the baby's skin, everything. I mean, I should have given you guys a warning. Eating everything. But of course, you know, everything is still intact, but the skin is ant mark, bite marks from the ants. Baby, gone. Pass. Don't know why, don't know how, but the baby's gone. What happened last night happened. Next morning, wake up, baby's gone. And that was the first child that my aunt lost. And then finally after that, she just kept losing children up until 7 kids. She lost 7 kids until she actually stopped having kids. Every time one passed, she has another one. Every time one passed, I'm like, as someone who has common sense, you would think, okay, I'll stop after maybe the 3rd or 4th one. Well, she just kept having children. Eventually, she decided, okay, well, I'm not going to have any more kids if I'm going to keep losing them. But when she had her first son, which is the oldest child, that child survived because she didn't live in the house. She didn't live in that town when she had that child, so that child survived. But eventually, she lost her life to the same thing. And also, I lost my godmom to the same thing. I have a story for that. Also, my older sister who lives right now in the United States, we almost lost her to a neighbor who was practicing brujeria, voodoo. Very good person, good people, but it was a mistake that happened, and we were able to figure it all out. If you guys want to hear about that story, I will tell you. But my mom even sent money for us to buy like coffin for her, preparing for her funeral and everything. Now she's a nurse. Anyway, guys, bye.
Whoa. I mean, that's a shocking story, Seekers. Like I said, we heard that cat sounding like, it definitely was sounding like a person, man. She broke it down for us. What do you guys think, man? We've seen like skinwalkers before, but they said this is shapeshifter, so are they like different things? 2 separate things? Talk about it down below.
Story time on the time that I saw my neighbor who had already passed away going to go get water while I was on my way back from getting water to go to the house. And when I got to the house, I found out that she had passed away that morning, and I didn't even know that. So, so this was kind of crazy. I'm laughing because I couldn't sleep for a good month and a half after all this happened, right? So I told the story during Halloween a couple years ago on YouTube, and the feedback was crazy. So I figured I'll just bring it back since TikTok people don't know about it. So going back to Haiti, I was very, very young. We had this neighbor that used to sell those things that you will light up at night if you have mosquitoes. They shake like a snake. I don't know what they're called. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment below. But she used to sell those things, and one day she just felt sick. Very, very sick. We just never saw her. We will go to her. So every time we order, this person will come to the door and give us what we need. But Sister Mary, which is the lady who always gives us the things that we need, just hadn't been showing up. But as a child, I'm like, okay, well, it's her house. Maybe she's either in the house, don't want to come out, or she went to the next town over to go visit her family. And hey, that's a normal thing. You can just go visit your family for like 6 months and then come back, right?
Okay.
So eventually my aunt came and told us that Sister Mary, that was her name, is not feeling well. She's at home, but she's just not feeling well. As children, we just let it go. Okay, well, Sister Mary's sick, whatever. Well, one day, I was sent to get water. It was my turn to go get water. So the way to go get water is basically, it's like 15 minutes away, but you do carry the water, and we take turn in the house as children. They sent different people different days, right? So this one particular day, it was early in the morning, they sent me to go get water. I'd say maybe, well, not really early. It was summertime. I'd say around like 10, 11. They sent me to go get water. I went to go collect water.
Right.
And as I was coming back from collecting water, I'm walking down. It's 15-minute walk. I'm carrying the thing on top of my head. I'm walking down, and I saw someone who looks like Sister Mary. And my aunt was saying how frail she was. She's losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw this person, she looked just like I remember Sister Mary to be, like how she was before, you know, thick. You know, she wasn't like fat, but she was thick. You know, she looked fine. She looked normal. She didn't look sick. So I saw her. I said hello to her. We're talking. And, you know, I told her, we haven't seen you. We heard that you were sick. Yeah, so we heard that you were sick. How are things doing? You look like you're doing much better now. And she answered me like normal, like someone she knows, right?
Okay.
So I just went on about my business. I told her have a good day. She told me she was going to go collect water, and she had the bucket in her hand and everything. So I told her have a good day, and I continued on my merry way. So I ended up going home that day, and I told my sister, I'm like, yo, you will never guess who I just saw at the water thing, right? So I told her a whole story about this lady that I just saw, and we know her because she's our neighbor. So I'm like, yeah, I saw her. You know, she looked good. I don't know what Aunt was talking about because she doesn't look sick. Her eyes literally opened up as if she just saw a ghost. I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay.
She says, oh, nothing. So I'm like, okay. I just went about my day and continued doing whatever I was doing until a few minutes later, I hear people screaming and yelling. Well, the news have been spreading in the whole town that Sister Mary has passed away. I'm looking at my sister and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean Sister Mary passed away? I just saw Sister Mary. What do you mean? And she looked fine.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's yelling. Nobody's telling me what's going on. And then finally, my sister told me, oh, yeah, Sister Mary died this morning. I'm like, there's no way. How could Sister Mary die this morning? I just told you I saw her this morning. She's like, well, that's the crazy thing because you're telling me you just saw her and Sister Mary died before you went to go collect water.
Ghost confirmed? Spirit?
From there on, I kid you not, I could not speak. I could not move. Everything was crazy.
Here we go.
Man, what do you guys think about that story? Was that like a ghost or she communicating with spirit or something? Like a man, she was talking to a person, but they already passed. So, who is she talking to?
Virginia teen
Insane.
dies after she tried to summon the Haitian voodoo god Papalegua. So Love decided to dabble in the darker voodoo arts, but she ain't got no knowledge of how this thing really go. That's why you gotta watch when you're practicing something without having a self-evaluation journey that you've been on, you hear me? I don't know why you thought summoning an African descendant god would help you. Papa in Haiti is known as the Great Executioner, and it's said that he could speak many different languages and persuade people at his will. And once again, he resides at the spiritual crossroads. So let me give y'all some insight every time you face with a difficult decision you gotta make. Rather that being life or death decisions or career-based decisions. Quit thinking about calling on some deity gonna point you in the right direction if you haven't done the self-work. Because you could get fooled by a spirit that you might think is holy and lovely for a spirit that's there to take over your will. So she gets in a Facebook group and start telling the people that she's about to start doing new spell work and ain't nothing wrong with trying new things. Alright. And I quote, "Let people have their own religion." So she started telling people, stop saying I'm from God or you can be from God. I'm wicked and I always will be. So shut the F up and let me do what I want to do. Alright, now wicked means a religion influenced by pre-Christian beliefs and the practices of Western Europe that affirms the supernatural powers. It's a form of paganism, and this has nothing to do with voodoo practices. So now I guess her ex wants to get into it and had a fallout. So she get on Facebook talking about she about to go put her ex on her ex-girlfriend. Now mind you, her ex-girlfriend is African American. Let me give you a little quick insight on wanting to put spells on people or hex work on people. And they kind of taught you that on Vampire Diaries with Bonnie. Now remember when she spoke with her ancestors and her ancestors told her, if you keep drawing power from your ancestors, it's going to be a blowback to that. Which is why when Bonnie would use her powers, her nose would start bleeding. Because whatever you take from nature, you must replenish back. Which is called the circle of life, baby. Now here's an example up here where somebody also was trying to use that voodoo stuff and it fired back on them. I prayed for lots of money even though I had money. I was greedy and I stopped my voodoo sacrifices. I was punished by losing my leg in an accident. I'm getting money which is worthless to me. I'd rather have my legs back. The woman I wanted to marry left me because of my leg. I lost my promising career and I had to totally change my college studies for a degree that was worthless to me. All because I messed with the spirits. And you keep on playing and not listening, you're gonna learn the hard way, baby. So back to Kate. So now we get a picture where she tried to make a voodoo doll that looked like her. Got the girl hair twisted like dreads. We don't know what petition she wrote. We don't know if she had needles in the doll. She might have even had her real hair samples in the damn doll, you hear me? Now I want to know, baby, what in your right mind think that you can call on an African deity to do some harm to an African person and you are a European woman? In what world do you think that makes sense, baby? Like, come on now, love. And then people tried to warn you before doing this. They told you not to go along with this. They told you not to move forward with this. Practicing other people's African spirituality when you're not African is dangerous. So now I start getting people for. You saw Papa Lego today, huh? You thought you saw him. And that's the problem. You're getting indulged in something where you never was initiated inside the culture, mama. You gotta think, man. Nah, Kayla was a beautiful woman, had a beautiful soul. She done a lot for her community. She was a stand-up woman. She just got involved in some things without the proper knowledge that led to some bad outcome. Nah, so Caitlin eventually died in a bathtub, and she left behind a beautiful daughter named Aaliyah, which is very sad, baby. She adored her daughter greatly. Just for her daughter to have to go through that, prayers and condolences to her family. Now later on, a few spiritual leaders did a reading on the woman and noticed that she wasn't summoning Papa Legua, but Barun. And because of shows like American Horror Story, where they gave you a mixture of Barun and Papa Legua, they had you thinking that he was Papa Legua, but Papa Legua on American Horror Story, that was actually depicted as Barun.
What do you guys think of that story, man? He broke it down. All the way down, man. He went more definite on that story.
Good morning. It's 9:34 in the morning, so it's time for another story. And this time the story is being recorded late because I spent my entire morning talking about the anguish of what it means to be a black woman in America. So today calls for a feel-good story, and I'm going to tell you the most popular folktale in Haiti. That's right, It's The Little Mermaid, but darker. This most likely will be divided in 3 parts or 4 because I'm taking a lot of time to talk about. But just so you understand, the majority of the time the story is being told, the protagonist is a fish. But Usually, as you grow up, it makes more sense that the protagonist is a mermaid or a merman. Most of the time, the protagonist is male because the leading romance protagonist, the second one, is a woman who goes to the water. She's a little girl. But at times, you will find that the protagonist is a mermaid, a woman, because the leading person that's going to be the love interest is a little boy. All right, let's get started. The Little Mermaid with a Haitian epice. Also, a lot of Haitians believe in mermaids. So there was a young girl, and we're going to call her Rose, who had a brother named Richard, a younger brother. Every morning, they would go to the spring to get water to do their daily chores. Whether that's cooking, cleaning, whatever they needed the water for, they would go to the river to get it. One morning, Rose heads to the river by herself, and as she's getting some water, she has a ring, a silver ring on one of her fingers, obviously, and it slips down and it falls in the stream. Now, she was really fond of this ring, so obviously she's really sad. She's like, oh my god, I lost my ring, why? And then as she's like frantically looking for it, out pops the head. And in this story, I'm going to make him a mermaid. So out pops a little head. And so as the head goes up, she realizes it's a fish. It's a man, but it's a fish. And the fish spits up her ring. So she takes the ring and she thanks the fish. And the fish, shockingly to her, speaks. The fish says, hi, I'm Tizan. And she says, hi, I'm Rose. Tizan says, this is my water. This is my spring. If you want water, like clean water, because your water is clean, but I know where the real good shit is. If you want better water, you could just holler at me and I'll go get it for you. And she goes, oh, thank you. But how do I holler at you? And so he teaches her this little song. And so he goes, if you ever need to reach me, sing this song. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. You get it? It literally translates to Tizan, Tizan, my friend, Tizan. But in the book, she has it written in a more like, I don't know. She has it written how she wants. But that's how I remember the song.
So, this happened in Miami. And yeah, I still live in Miami. I was like around 6 or 7. This was like back in 2006, I believe. So we used to stay in this building, and in the building, it used to be full of Haitians, full of Haitians. If you're Haitian and you know what's a lugawu, then you know what I mean. So it was one night. It was me and my brother. We was in the room. We was sleeping. My mama and my dad was in their room. Okay. So it was like 2. I was saying like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We sleeping. We little kids. We sleeping. Blah blah. Then randomly something happened, bruh. Something told us to get up. We woke up. Literally, me and him woke up. And I swear, bruh, this Lugao lady, bruh, we've been having problems with for the longest. She was in our room. Like, she was literally in our room, bruh. Like, literally in our room. Staring at us. And we was on the wall. We, like, the TV right here and the wall right there. And we was stuck on the wall. We don't know what to do. But she was mostly coming from my little brother. Because, my little Lugawas, they like young kids. If they see a beautiful young child, they're going to take them. So as a big brother, I was not gonna let that shit happen. So I fought her. You feel me? I'm getting right with her a little bit. She low-key beat me up. But I'm getting right with her a little bit. Give her a quick soklo and everything. Damn punch me in my rib. To this day, like, if I'm running so fast, my right hip will start hurting like crazy. So we fighting, boom, boom, boom. My little brother, he yelling. Then I start yelling. Then my mom came, barged in the room. Then she just disappeared, like boom. So my mom was like, okay, my point. A couple days later, man, my auntie, my mom, even my dad, my uncle, they all went after that lady. They whooped that lady out. They banged on the door. They did everything it takes. To this day, bruh, that shit still scarred the fuck out of me. But it's part of being a Haitian, that's what most Haitians go through in life. Most. I can't say all, but most. You feel me? But yes, Lugawus, these vampires in Haiti, that's called Lugawus, they are real. They are real. If you're from Haiti, you know what I mean. Like, even the American kids, Haitian American kids, y'all know what I mean by loup-garous, bro. This shit real. It's real. Like, it's really real. It's not American vampires.
Damn, we put a vampire at 7? Like I said, we're checking out a different side of TikTok, so these stories, man, freaking shocking me, bro. Breaking down the culture. But at 7, he had to fight off to protect his brother, and he did it too. Props to him, man.
I have been like damn near harassing me for these.
Loup-garous again.
Creepy story time.
Trying to get at
it all
him.
happened in Haiti. My mom was throwing a party, like a little get-together, and everyone was having fun, but it was getting late, so everybody had to go home. After they went home, my mom heard a big sound coming from outside. It sounded like this. Yeah, like
Cow?
a cow. So she went outside to check. She saw a huge cow, the size of the road. No, literally, the size of the road.
What the hell was it doing?
They know exactly why they're scared, but you might not. So let me tell you. Making a long story short, nobody with that much money is just gonna be handing it around. Oh, it must be juju money. They're not falling for that. But this is not the point of this video. I wanted to make this video to tell you that it is the month of December, quite possibly the worst month of the year for the normal citizens, but the best month of the year for people doing witchcraft. My grandma always told me the month of December is the devil's month. Yeah.
Really?
The devil goes hard on this month of December because it is the last month of the year. So he needs to put in as much work as possible. So my number one advice to you would be, do not, absolutely not, pick up any type of logo from the floor. Yeah, no, they will get you. And be kind. It goes a very long way.
I know that about the month of December now. Better start paying attention.
Yes, in Haiti, please mind your business. Story time. This one is brought to you by my uncle. This is a loup-garous story, so things might get a little weird, but bear with me. So this lady, we're gonna call her Katya, okay? She is a SW. If you don't know what a SW is, just look it up. But that night, she was out on the street, running the streets, you know, trying to sell some puss. She was standing out there all day. She ain't had no customers. So it's getting late and she's like, you know what, maybe I should leave. But right at the moment that she's thinking that she's gonna leave, this guy in this rich, expensive car pulls up. And for that time, for somebody to have a car like that, that meant that that person had money, okay? It meant that that person meant business. So the car rolls up in front of the SW and he's like, yo, how much for? And she gives him the prices. Depending on what you want, I can provide it for you. He wanted to take her home. He didn't want service on the spot, so he wanted to take her to his house. So she agreed. She gets in his car and they start to drive away. Now the guy, there's really nothing suspicious or off-putting about him, considering like she's a SW. She's used to weirdos. She's used to creeps. So this is like, there's nothing standing out about this guy. He's on the steering wheel and she's next to him on the passenger seat. So they're driving, and y'all. And at some point, it looks like this driver is like basically falling asleep. Like he's just disassociating from the wheel and he looks like he's tired. She doesn't think anything of it and they keep going. They get a little bit further down the road. She saw something from her peripheral morph. So she does one of those and notices that the man who was driving the car turned into a dog.
What the fuck?
With his two front paws on the wheel, this SW is witnessing a dog driving a car when a few seconds before it was a man. So the SW proceeds to take out her cigarette. She had a cigarette like in the back of her ear. She proceeded to take out the cigarette. She lights up the cigarette and starts to smoke. As she lights her cigarette, she starts to chant. She says, moi-même c'est petit Jacques Maget mieux. Pita moyen Jacques Maget. Jacques Maget is a loi. He don't play about his children, so I think that was just her reinforcing her protection. After she says that like 3 times, Jacques Maget c'est petit tout, the freaking dog next to him looks like something startled the dog, and the motherfucker started morphing back into a human. And now it's back to a man driving the car. Now, of course, the story does not end here. The man looks over to her and says, I feel weird. Did you see anything weird? Do you feel anything weird? The SW looking straight ahead at the road says, nope. He said, you didn't sense anything? She said, no, I've just been in this car smoking a cigarette. She said, why? You feeling something? He says, yeah, I felt a little weird, so I just wanted to know if you saw something, if you felt anything. She said, nah, I ain't see nothing. Must be something in the air. He proceeded to drive all the way to his house. She got there and was absolutely horrified. So while the guy went to go take a shower, she went into his kitchen, grabbed a knife, and kept it underneath her pillow. The whole time she was laying down like this, one arm underneath the pillow, holding on to the weapon. She would go on and do the do. She held on to that knife whole time, just in case. After they were done, it was way too dark and way too late for her to leave anyway, so she proceeded on staying the night, but she did not sleep all night. All night, she had that one hand under that pillow. The next morning, they woke up, he paid her, and she went on her way. But I was like, wait a minute, she went through with it? And she had to. If she had switched up anywhere in that timeline, that would have been it for her. Anyway, if you guys like these spooky Haitian stories, you can expect that I will be dropping another story time tomorrow. And I have an entire playlist of like 40 something videos, so go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok and on Instagram. And leave me a comment letting me know what was your genuine reaction to this story. Also, thank you guys for 50,000 followers. Bye, boo boo.
That's crazy that she still went through with it.
Not only are you not safe on the outside, be careful with how you reject men.
Not everybody can handle rejection, man. Some of them, they take it way too hard and it freaking breaks them down as a person, man. And they do horrible things. You guys, seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I drop a video. And hit that like button, man. It's going to help push into the algorithm, man. Like I said, we're taking this day by day. We're going to take off one day, but thank you guys for joining me on my journey. Guys, are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.